understandable for Americans. So that's sort of the nature of my questions today.
Yes, I think accent is part of the story, and it could be a big part of it. Of course, it's, you can't do any work over the phones if you can't understand each other. And I guess our accent is, we call it more neutral, and it's quite understandable. We don't speak, I think, as fast as some of the Indians do because I guess their dialect affects also the way they speak English. So it is one of the factors. Basically, it's English, right? And so India, Philippines both have large English-speaking populations, and both have educated pools, and with the lower cost of living and lower cost of labor in both countries compared with developed countries like the United States, then it becomes both countries become good sources for the kind of skills that are needed by many companies to remain viable and competitive. And you mentioned culture, so
Yeah.
we were the only colony of the United States from about 1898 to after World War II. And I think because of our own history of colonization prior to that under Spain for 300 years, and I think when the United States took over as the colonizing country, they wanted to, I guess, justify that action and become a benevolent sort of colonizer. And so that they set up the education system, public education system, which the Spaniards actually did not do. And in the public education system was first taught by Americans. I think volunteers, or I know they all came on a ship called the USS Thomas, and they were called the Thomasites, and they went through all remote regions and areas throughout the Philippine archipelago teaching English. And there are still some communities actually that have some of these are missionaries, and so some of the communities where the missionaries stayed on, like in the northern part of the Philippines, in the mountain provinces, or in the south, place like Dumaguete City, where they have a Presbyterian university, English is still very strong. But in general, I think the population was very open and very eager and happy to learn English. And it seems the Filipinos do have a knack. I think it's something about having a good ear for sound. It's part of why they like also to do a lot of covers for Western pop music, for example.
Yeah.
And it also, we also get a lot of stories about, they also learn languages very quickly. So you have Filipinos in Italy who speak Italian like natives. When they go to Japan, they do conversational Japanese. And so all over the world you get Filipinos speaking different languages. In fact, even here in Manila, I know of a company that invested, for example, in Berlitz. When they needed a Polish speaker, they would just pluck out one of their accountants and invest in, say, 8-month intensive training in Polish, and at the end of the 8 months, they have a Polish-speaking accountant. So this is sort of knack for many Filipinos for learning languages. And it's, I guess, that openness, the ear, and then also being very careful about making yourself understood, and being free of, I guess, an accent that can make it difficult for other nationalities to understand. Is really very helpful. But I think the one thing, yeah.
Well, you say a neutral accent. I wonder if someone from London would disagree with you. Neutral. Do you think that in the 21st century that's come to mean sort of American business English?
Yes, But I guess neutral compared with, let's say, the southern accent, or there are different accents or dialects
Right.
in the U.S. So in the early days, I understand that they even attempted to teach Filipino agents specific dialects of the U.S. But now I think that's not done anymore, and it's more of what they call neutralization. So if you do have a local accent, then so they work on neutralizing that. If you exchange your F and P's or your I and E's, or the short or long A, they work on that to neutralize it. And I know with UK and Australia, what they try to do is cultural training, because it's a different. Often there are different words, right? The vocabulary is slightly different, and so for the cliches or the idiomatic expressions are different. Sports is different. So there are programs to train for other English-speaking regions outside the U.S. But by far the U.S. is the largest market anyway. So yeah.
If I'm a call center and I'm looking to hire some people in Manila or Makati or wherever, what type of background am I looking for a Filipino applicant coming in?
Okay, if you look at the different, let's say, undergraduate fields that the employees come from, there's really no one or two main courses that will be more suitable for a call center agent. So they hire from all different fields of study or different graduates. And so basically they will test your English, your spoken English, your grammar, your vocabulary, and then they will also test your problem-solving skills, so your critical thinking skills, and then they will test your IT adeptness, if you can, for example, manage different windows at once, or if you're familiar with the operating system, using Windows, using Excel, and so forth. And then I think that's and then what they call your service orientation. So are you
your attitude?
Yes. So are you if you're going for a customer service or customer relations position, then they will test your politeness, level of courtesy, or things like that. But it also depends on the position that they're looking to fill, because they also fill, for example, tech support. So they'll put more emphasis on your IT skills, perhaps, but you still need to have some good level of service orientation and your English. Maybe it doesn't have to be as strong as if you were in pure customer service or sales. So we have also some work that's in the healthcare field. So they're going to test your knowledge of how if you're a nurse, how to take care of post-op patients when you call them up and ask them how they feel, or if you know how to you're familiar with certain medical terms that need to be documented, or document management for for hospitals and clinics and doctors. So there are some specialized skills that or specializations for certain positions, but in general, they're just looking for the basic competencies, which is communication skills, the critical thinking, and the IT and the service orientation. So those four skills are the basic profile of those that are being hired today. For the very specialized skills, sometimes they prefer to teach that after they hire. Once they're sure that you have the basic competencies, then they can teach you the specialized skills.
So I take it they're probably looking for a college degree of some sort, or could you perhaps just have very great English skills and not have gone to university and still still get a job in a call center?
Yes, I think up to 60% of those who are hired are fresh graduates with 4-year degrees. But some companies now are hiring without the, even if you haven't completed the 4 years, and let's say you've had 2 years, and but your English is good enough to do the work, and your other competencies are, you can pass the application process and the tests. Yes, you can be hired even without a college degree. And there are a few companies that are actually taking in even very good high school graduates. Again, it depends also on the position, because now there are some that are looking for accountants, there are even some that are looking for CPAs. There are some positions in the research field that require MBAs. Some are even hiring doctors, some are hiring nurses. So it depends on the kind of work. But I would say the basic, let's say transactional, entry level, which is just the most simple type of BPO work, most of them, at least 60%, would be fresh graduates, and then those who are not fresh graduates are also, some of them are also graduates, but from previous years or coming out of some other fields or other jobs. But there is a small percentage, but maybe growing, that are non-graduates. Yeah.
I wanted to also ask about the call center lifestyle, because you have people that are willing to completely change the way they live for this job. Is that right? I mean, they have to be ready to be awake at 1 and 2 in the morning, right?
Yes. About 70% of the work coming out of the Philippines in BPOs is for the United States. Therefore, most of those employees working for U.S. accounts, most of them are doing U.S. time zone day shift, which would be night shift here. And yes, it entails a change of time zone. So the families learn also, that how to have blackout you have to black out the windows so that during the day they can sleep in rooms that are totally dark. They learn to be quiet, when the call center agent is trying to sleep at home. Or there are agents also that have, because their salaries allow them maybe to share simple lodgings near work. That also works out, because then they're sharing a room or an apartment where all of them are on the same shift. Or I've even heard shifting within the apartment. So if you're with different shifts, you can share the same bed or the same room, and one is sleeping during one shift and one is sleeping on the next shift. So but even hotels have special BPO floors where nobody cleans, there are no vacuum cleaners during the day, and you can order meals. You can have breakfast at night or dinner in the morning. So the hotels have adopted also, because call centers or BPOs are among their best clients, just like they are for many of the businesses in the urban areas.
And I know that there's some developments. What is this neighborhood called? It's Eastworld.
Eastwood City.
Yeah, is that more of a common thing, to have a community that's sort of BPO friendly 100%? You've got the grocery store open, maybe even the school schedule fits that lifestyle. Do you think that's going to become even more common in the future?
Yes, maybe not to the extent, the density of Eastwood City, which is sort of a phenomenon on its own. And that was designed as a a sort of relaxed mixed-use area, but because of the Asian financial crisis in the late 90s, the high rises that were built were basically empty. And so they were rescued by call centers that first moved into Eastwood in about the year 2000. And the government also applied the first PEZA or incentives certified buildings in Eastwood. And so that also attracted more, and it eventually became so dense, and that all the amenities that grew up around trying to provide for the 24-hour shifts also became 24 hours. And so yes, special lifestyle adjusted to the call centers and BPOs and the 24-hour shifts that are in that little area. And I think developers see what has gone right there, in that it is good to provide a mixed-use development, not just have office space, but you need to have space for amenities so that the employees have places to eat at any time of the day or night, and that there are transportation that's very accessible by public transportation, that it's up all night so that there are lights, so it's safe. And then you see also some sprouting of, some of the employees being able to afford some of the condo units or apartments within the area, so you can have also some residential. And then of course the managers and the executives, and so you can have a range of prices and types of residential units. So having that all in one little area, it makes sense, because then it becomes more cost effective, more efficient in terms of having the 24-hour lifestyle. But many parts of Metro Manila now are similar to East, just not as dense and compact in one area. What they described Eastwood is that because the way it was designed, where you have the taller buildings on the outside, so you create like a community feel. They feel like they're sort of, they have their own little walled city with everything happening in the center, where you have a plaza and then you have restaurants and other places to live.
I wanted to ask one more question about culture. During the hiring process, in addition to having good English and good attitude and understanding of IT and that sort of thing, would an employer actually ask questions